Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hope yours is going well. And unfortunately, or fortunately, if you're a certain subset of the Seahawks fandom, we are back on the BS today. We are back on one Pete Carroll and what he is doing to this team and whether or not he is the man who needs to be in charge of this ship going forward. And I know some of you out there are probably a little tired of me beating the Pete Carroll drum. I've made a lot of videos discussing specifically the Pete Carroll issue right now with this team. I've been talking about the Pete Carroll issue since 2019, and I know some of you guys, you don't want to hear it. You think he's good, you think he's great, you think he's fine. And I guess I can't totally blame you for thinking that, but it's not what I think. There are other YouTube channels out there that make Seahawks videos that won't talk about Pete Carroll, so maybe you can go find one of those. But to those of you who want to hear what I have to say about this, stay tuned because Carroll said some stuff yesterday and it just got me thinking a little bit and it made me do some things that I wish I didn't have to do, but I did them. And maybe we can learn something from it at least. So, Brady Henderson has this report from ESPN about Carroll's comments on 710 ESPN yesterday. So, I already made a video about Trey Flowers' comments about what is going on with the Seahawks corners. Trey Flowers said there's some confusion about how they're supposed to defend some routes. So, Carroll on the radio yesterday said that he had not heard the complaints from Flowers, or DJ Reed actually, but he was given the gist of it and he chalked the comment up to frustration. He went on to say that when their corners are playing deep in zone and throws are getting completed underneath, it looks like they're not playing aggressively enough, even though they're doing their job by preventing the deep ball. So I think that's all it is. We're no different than we've ever been conceptually. So that's what Pete Carroll had to say about the Flowers and Reed comments concerning the scheme, concerning the coaching, concerning Carroll's and Norton's roles in this defense. Carroll went on to say later in that radio interview that he felt like the corners against the Vikings played a solid game. He said they didn't make any plays to help turn the game around, but he said he felt they played solid. And I think he also made some comment that was basically like, I'm not going to sit here and bash my players. So let's think about that for a second. So Pete Carroll wants you to believe as a fan, because he's talking to the fans when he goes on these radio shows. He wants you to believe as a fan that the cornerbacks played well against the Vikings and that the scheme is fine. So if the players play well and the scheme is good, then the results should be good, right? That's just common sense. What else is there other than the players performing and the scheme putting them in good situations? Now, if you're going up against Randy Moss and he just jumps 8 feet in the air and brings in some ridiculous circus tiptoe back of the end zone catch, maybe. If you've got great coverage on a receiver and he just manages to worm his hands through and catch some ridiculous ball above his head or behind him, or if he makes some ridiculous play, okay, maybe. But let's take a look at some of these plays yesterday, and we're going to look at screenshots again. It's, I think, the best way for me to try to showcase the point I'm trying to make here. And I want to stress something. There is no shame in getting beat. Sometimes as a player you get beat, especially when you're a Trey Flowers going up against a Justin Jefferson or a Julio Jones or whoever. If you're a Trey Flowers or a DJ Reed going up against these guys, you're going to get beat sometimes. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It would be weird if a guy like Julio Jones didn't beat you sometimes because he's that good. But that's not what I'm seeing when I look at images like the ones I have here. So I took a look at the highlight reel from the Seahawks-Vikings game on Sunday. And I wanted to see how often Vikings receivers were open by at least 4 yards at the time of the catch. So I looked at probably about 20 to 22 Kirk Cousins passes on Sunday, 20 to 22 plays where he dropped back to pass. And let's see how many times he dropped back to pass and completed the ball to a receiver who was open by at least 4 yards. Now, I'm not going to include screen passes here because it's kind of expected that the receiver is going to be open by a lot of yards because it's a screen pass. As a defense, your job is to make a quick stop by busting through the blocking scheme and getting him down before he can gain big yardage. I'm not going to hold the screen stuff against them. If I added those, you would have been able to find maybe 2 more of these plays. But let's just focus on things that are a little more down the field. Okay, so this is picture number 1. This is the Vikings' first drive of the game. And we see the Vikings tight end. His name escapes me at the moment. But here he is. This picture was taken at the moment of his reception, right when the ball touched his hands. And you can see that there is no defender within, I would say, at least 7 yards. I think this is Trey Flowers back here. He's a good 7 yards away. And I believe this is DJ Reed, and he also looks about 7 yards away. And I think this is Bobby Wagner. Similarly, I'd say at least 7 or 8 yards away. So he is beyond wide open. Trey Flowers could be sitting down on his hands picking grass or picking his nose, and he would have about the same impact on this play at this moment. So we can pretty clearly see here that it's not that Trey Flowers is getting beat. It's not that Bobby Wagner is getting beat. They're not even getting a chance to get beat because they are so far away from this play. Okay, a couple plays later. This is a short yardage situation. The line of scrimmage is right here. The first down marker is here. So they have 2 yards to go to pick up the first down, and they just run a simple little hitch route, stop and go, where the receiver, I think this is Justin Jefferson, just catches a ball close to the sideline, about, 5 or 6 yards down the field, and Trey Flowers is at least 3, but I would say about 3 to 4 yards off the receiver at the time of the reception. This isn't getting beat. This is not even being in a position to get beat because you are so far away from the play. So I'm just not seeing it. Either the players are that bad or the scheme is that bad that they're routinely put in this situation. And this is not a meaningless gain. This is a first down already at the point of the reception. He already has a first down the moment he brings this ball in. Okay, so this is later in the game. The Seahawks have a 10-point lead. The Vikings are about to go down and score a touchdown, and this was one of the many big plays they had on that drive. So once again, please note, the receiver is already past the sticks. This is not a meaningless this is not a meaningless completion on 3rd and 25 where you're just trying to give up 15 to 20 yards but still get off the field. No, this is a very meaningful play. This is a first down. The receiver already has a first down at the moment of the reception, and I see him coming open over the middle of the field for a pretty decent chunk of yards, and I'm seeing a defensive back here. He's got to be at least 5 yards away, and nobody else is within like 10 yards, I don't think. There's one defender who might be within 5 yards of him, and I don't even know if I would give him that much credit. Okay, later in the first half, the Vikings are driving to take the lead with about a minute left on the clock. Now, this one isn't as bad. This is a little wide receiver slant. It's kind of a rub route, which is part of the reason why there's some separation here. I almost didn't include this play, but it's not a screen. It's not one of those wide receiver misdirection screens where you let all the pass rushers in so you can quickly dump it off to the back. This is still a pass to a wide receiver who is moving downfield, and at the point that he catches the ball, he's open by probably about 4 yards. I think Cody Barton's a good 4 yards off. In no position to contest the play, in no position to do anything other than allow a pretty decent chunk of yards. Not a huge play, but because the pass was accurate, he does get to go get some yards after the catch, and I think he ends up inside the 10-yard line for a first down because Barton is nowhere near him and can't even make a play to wrap him up for a short gain. Okay, now we go on to the second half, and this is the Vikings' first possession coming out of the locker room. And once again, we're seeing the same thing. This is another play that is down the field. The first down marker's here, so this play doesn't quite get a first down, but it does pick up a significant chunk of yards. I think this play was after a Vikings penalty that moved them back, and this play helped get them most of those yards back. And you can see it again. The receiver just runs down the side of the field, turns around, comes back to the ball. Line of scrimmage is over here. First down marker is here. And he's catching the ball right here. And I believe this is Trey Flowers, but it might be DJ Reed. I'm not 100% sure. But he's at least 4 yards away from the receiver at the time of the reception, and this guy's even further away. So, again, I'm not seeing players just get beat. Last week, we looked at a play where Julio Jones burned Trey Flowers deep down the field for 51 yards. Trey Flowers was right there when the ball got there. He was all over that play. And honestly, Julio just made a great catch, and it was a great throw. This stuff, no, they're not getting beat. They're not even in a position to where you can say they're getting beat. Again, whoever this is, I think it's Trey Flowers, but whoever this is, he may as well not even be on the field at this moment for all that he can affect the play. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is the same drive. This is Adam Thielen. This is entering the red zone. The Vikings would get a field goal on this drive. And I know there was some fancy stuff happening with this route that created this situation. Nevertheless, I'm looking at this. Adam Thielen is just bringing the ball in right here. And I don't see anybody within 5 yards. I'm not sure who this is. It might be Diggs. It might be DJ Reed. But whoever it is, he is nowhere near. Adam Thielen might not even know that DJ Reed exists right now. Adam Thielen might think that DJ Reed is some guy doing his taxes at home right now for as far away as he is from the play at this moment. No opportunity to make a play on this ball. So, again, I'm just seeing players not being put in the right position to even have a chance to make a play. All right, next play is a little later in the game. Next drive for the Vikings, I think. This is a throw that is 20 yards past the line of scrimmage approximately. I think more like 19 or 18 yards. But this is a throw deep down the field. This is not even a little 5-yard out. And we get frustrated enough when the Seahawks allow wide open 5-yard passes. This is an 18-yard pass. It's just a simple route for Adam Thielen. He runs down the field and then turns around and comes back to the ball a little bit. And where's the defense? This is down the field. This is one of those big chunk plays that Carroll claims his defense tries to avoid. I'm seeing the safety back here. He's at least 5 or 6 yards away. I think this is a DJ Reed. He's probably 7 yards away at the point of the catch. And what are we doing? How do these guys even have a chance to get involved? Okay, let's do one more. This is, I think, the same drive. And this was, I believe, a 3rd down and 5. But for 3rd down and 5 or 2nd down and 5, either way, this is an easy first down. Jordan Brooks is the closest man to the receiver, and I would guess he's at least 4 yards away, maybe 5. And this is at the point of the catch. So, again, not even getting an opportunity to go make a play on the ball, not getting an opportunity to at least tackle the receiver for an immediate immediate down, no yards after the catch. This is just easy. This is just pitch and catch, and either the players are so awful they're allowing this to happen, or the scheme is so awful it's making this happen as a feature instead of a bug. Okay, next play. I think this is the same drive. Once again, middle part of the field, kind of deep. It's like 15 yards past the line of scrimmage. We have a receiver open by, God, maybe 6 yards. Trey Flowers might be 6 yards away at the point of the reception. Yes, I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but that's the ball. The ball is there. And Trey Flowers is the closest defender, and I think he's 5 or 6 yards away. There's no chance to make a play on the ball. And I just don't think these players are going out there thinking the plan is to leave these guys wide open for short and intermediate passes. I cannot believe that they think that's how they're supposed to play the position. So I have to come away believing that there's something schematic with this defense, or there's something these players are not understanding about the scheme, or the scheme is just that atrocious to where receivers are being allowed to run wide open. And we got one more play. This is basically when the game is over, and it doesn't mean that much, but it is a conversion on 3rd and 9. So again, we're past the first down marker because the line of scrimmage is over here, and we have a receiver running towards the sideline on an out route, and he's got to be open by at least 3 yards, but it might be closer to 4. It doesn't really matter. The cornerback is nowhere near close enough to actually go make a play on this. This is a trivial reception. And these are not dump-offs. These are not checkdowns. These are plays down the field to wide receivers to pick up immediate first downs. So that's really all I wanted to showcase. And I don't have any super deep analysis for you. I don't have anything super profound to say. I feel like what I'm saying about these plays is pretty obvious. But I'll say it one more time. You can't tell me that this is the result if the players are playing good and the scheme is good. At least one of those things must be rancid to allow this to happen, and possibly both, but at least one of those things must have gone terribly wrong. I'll say it again. Last week we looked at some Trey Flowers plays where he gave up receptions to Julio and A.J. Brown. And when the ball gets there, Trey Flowers is right there. He's maybe beaten by a step. I thought on a couple of those plays he wasn't even beaten by a step. He was right there. It's just a great catch. I'm not mad about that so much. I can't trip about that stuff. This stuff I'm tripping about. This stuff is actually what's going to make me wonder if there's something fundamentally flawed with this team, either on a schematic level or a player level. And some people have said that the problem has to be the players, because this scheme worked with Richard Sherman and Byron Maxwell and Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You got to coach the players you have. Okay? If you're a great coach, then you shouldn't need the greatest players of all time to make your scheme work. And if your scheme needs the greatest players ever to work, then it's obviously not a very good scheme, and you better have something else in your back pocket for when you don't have the greatest players of all time. You knew you were going to have Trey Flowers for a while, so I don't really want to hear that. The only thing I really want to hear right now is, tell us what went wrong. Was it the scheme or was it the players? And I heard Carroll defend both today, and I'm sorry, the only way I can put it is that he thinks you are stupid. He thinks you, the fans, are dumb enough to watch that game on Sunday, see all the wide open receivers, because, by the way, for those of you who weren't counting, that's 10 plays. I just looked at 10 plays from the highlight reel. 10 plays just from the highlight reel. I could probably find a couple more if I watch the whole game again. I'm not going to do that because I don't hate myself that much. But I just found 10 plays out of probably 20 to 22 Kirk Cousins dropbacks where a receiver was just wide open by 4+ yards. So Carroll thinks you guys are stupid, I guess. That's the only way I can put it. If he's trying to sell you that, oh, our players played solid and my scheme is fine. No, one of those things had to go wrong. If Vikings receivers were just making awesome plays where they had half a step on the defensive back and they were making great catches all game, okay, I would give Carroll that. I would say, you know what, we just got outplayed a little bit. They wanted it a little more than we did. We didn't play bad. We actually probably played really good. They just played a little bit better. I can live with that. This stuff, you're not even giving these guys a chance to mess up. If you're going to get beat over the top for a 50-yard play, okay, I can live with that. I would rather live with that than live with this. Any offense in the NFL should be able to do this kind of stuff. If you give any offense in the NFL open receivers like this, they should be able to do work on you. So I don't want to hear that everything worked fine. If everything worked fine, then why did I just find 10 plays out of like 20 where a Vikings receiver was open by so much the defender may as well have not existed? And I cannot believe that this team, run by this coach, Pete Carroll, the guy who built one of the greatest defenses in NFL history, who built a defense that led the league in scoring allowed 4 straight seasons, who produced great players, future Hall of Famers like Bobby Wagner, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman, perennial greats like Cam Chancellor, Michael Bennett, Cliff Averill, KJ Wright. I'm probably forgetting 1 or 2 really good names in there as well. I cannot believe that guy, the guy who built that defense, the guy who values defense, the guy who, whatever his flaws, I do believe he wants to put a great defense out there on the field at all times, even if it's unrealistic or impossible, can look at that game on Sunday and come away thinking, my players in the secondary played fine, and my scheme is fine. It's one or the other. Look, if he wants to put it all on the pass rush, then yeah, pass rush sucked. And that's a whole nother conversation we need to have. But I honestly think that a more straightforward and rudimentary scheme could take a bunch of practice squad defensive backs and have receivers not as open as this, because at least they would be trying to cover. I don't even see this stuff, what you see on your screen right now, as trying to cover. You may as well just lay down on the field and let the Vikings practice against air. All right. Long video, but there's some stuff that just need to be said. I only watched highlights on YouTube, and I found 10 plays where Vikings receivers were open by at least 4 yards. I probably could have found more if I watched the whole game again, but I'm not going to do that because, again, I don't hate myself and I have a life. You watch the plays if you want to. I'm trying to move past it. I'm trying to put this out of my memory. But Pete Carroll, stop thinking that we're stupid enough to buy that, because the people who watch my videos know better, I hope, because I'm trying to educate. Let me know what you guys think down below, but those comments from Pete just made me more and more convinced that his time is over and he needs to go, and we need to get somebody else in here. All right, go Hawks. See you guys later.